Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Whitney Ward. Just as the state of Washington is calling out the city of Spokane for its lack of responsibility in furthering the homeless crisis, city officials are now stepping in. They're calling for the removal of this cooling tent that was set up across the street from the I-90 homeless encampment. Spokane Fire Marshal Lance Dahl sent a letter to the nonprofit Jules Helping Hands, which is operating that tent. And they say they have until tomorrow at 4 p.m. to take that tent down. So KREM 2's Janelle Finch is tracking this story for us today. She's live at that tent right now. She spoke with the executive director of Jules, who told her the tent isn't going anywhere. Janelle?
That's right, Whitney. In 24 hours, the city hopes that this tent will be taken down. But Julie Garcia with Jules Helping Hands tells me, for now, the tent is here to stay. She says she's tired of service providers and people's well-being getting caught in the middle of the city and the state. So she says her nonprofit is here to provide resources, and the plan is to keep doing just that. The tent originally went up in July to provide people living at the homeless encampment across the street a place to beat the extreme heat. You'll remember our region experienced several days of triple-digit temperatures. Now things have cooled off, but the tent is still here. Executive Director of Jules Helping Hands, Julie Garcia, says that's because the tent's uses have grown beyond just being a place to cool down. She says this tent is a community resource.
What we're trying to replicate is what service would look like, say they were downtown. How do you get to the services that you need? And so this has been that kind of tent. They have to come across the street to get help. They have to come over here to get food. They have to sign up and participate to be able to access those services.
Jules Helping Hands applied for a permit for the tent before it went up in July. Tuesday's letter from the fire marshal declines the request for a permit and claims the tent is trespassing on Washington Department of Transportation land. Back in July, WashDOT shared a statement that the tent is not permitted, but is allowed as it supports the health and well-being of people living across the street. We've asked WashDOT if anything has changed now that the extreme heat has subsided, and we're still waiting to hear back. If Garcia doesn't take the tent down, the city claims it will issue a $536 fine each day the tent is still up. Now, despite the heat from the city, Garcia says the camp is actually looking to several developments, including adding money management and employment expectations to its tent starting on Monday, as well as WashDOT coming down here to look into fencing and implementing a curfew. Live in Spokane, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
All right, Janelle, thank you very much for the update. A new development in the saga also in the last few hours. Spokane's Director of Neighborhood Housing and Human Services has announced he is resigning. He's only held this job for the last 3 months. John Hall was newly appointed back in June by Mayor Nadine Woodward. He's now accepted another position, we're told, in Virginia. One of Hall's primary focuses was the newly opened Trent shelter. Spokane City Council President Brian Beggs told KREM 2 Hall was, quote, very frustrated with how he was being treated. We have reached out to Hall for comment. He was not available today. This is a developing story, and we will continue to ask those questions and bring you the latest as we learn it. A man accused of killing several dogs while running an unlicensed dog kennel went before a judge today. Greg Hauser pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of first-degree animal cruelty and 1 count of running an unlicensed kennel. Court records say he was running a dog training and boarding business in Medical Lake. At least 2 of the dogs in his care died, including Larry Lytlemeyer's dog, Andy. So court documents right now state Andy and another dog were being housed in an aluminum dog trailer that was parked out in the sun with no shade. The dogs didn't have adequate food or water at the time and did not receive timely medical care. 2 vets also stated the dogs had pressure wounds and were covered in feces when they were finally brought in. Details which Lytlemeyer says are extremely disturbing.
Irritating. Just like from the beginning, he's been since everything happened, he's been very nonchalant about everything. Hasn't showed any remorse or any care, just going on with business as normal. So again, I was hoping he would take a plea deal. He decided not to, which doesn't surprise me because that's his character.
We're told Hauser would board and train dogs for several months at a time. The prosecutor's office started investigating him back in April as part of an animal neglect case. In Skagit County, over on the west side, more than 100 puppies were seized by authorities in what they believe was a puppy mill. Officials say those dogs were malnourished and extremely dirty. When they found them, some weighed as little as 3 pounds. Skagit Humane is now closed to the public so workers can adequately care for all those dogs. It's unclear when they will be ready for adoption. New information into our newsroom this afternoon in the search for a missing Grant County couple. They were scheduled to arrive home from the Spokane airport but never made it. Grant County says they have cell phone record data that was last recorded in Lincoln County. 53-year-old Teresa Bergman and her husband, 54-year-old Charles Bergman, are both from Moses Lake. They arrived at the Spokane airport after midnight on September 18th. Charles was reportedly going to pick up Teresa, but neither of them returned home. They've both been reported missing by family members on Monday. They may be in this 2013 Chevy Impala with a Washington plate that says BLU 5395. If you happen to have any information or saw something, you're asked to please call the number right there at the bottom of your screen. And Spokane police are asking for help to find a missing Indigenous man, Eugene Klatish, who goes by Leighton, disappeared from Sacred Heart Hospital yesterday, Sacred Heart Medical Center. He is considered endangered because of his disabilities and also because authorities say he has not been taking critical medications. He's described as 5'10", about 190 pounds. And according to police, you can see he's got dark brown hair, brown eyes, and was last seen wearing a dark hoodie. If you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Check. That number also is at the bottom of your screen. A Spokane physician has now been suspended from practicing medicine in the state of Washington for alleged inappropriate conduct with a patient. Thomas Ostin reportedly raised a woman's shirt without her permission and also accused he is also accused of making inappropriate jokes and comments about her marital status and her appearance. The incident happened back in April of 2021. Since then, Ostin reportedly failed to show up at a pre-hearing surrounding these allegations. Just a month before the incident, also, he was facing similar allegations from at least 3 other women. Spokane police are investigating a man for scamming at least 2 people who thought their money was being invested in cryptocurrency. According to court documents, the person got away with more than $100,000. We are not naming the suspect right now because he has not been formally charged with a crime. One woman, though, came forward telling police she sent 9 payments to that person, totaling nearly $85,000. When she asked for $10,000 back, the suspect sent $3,000 and then she says just disappeared. According to the search warrant, police in Phoenix believe the same man conned an Arizona resident out of $18,000 using the exact same scheme. Authorities believe the man has now left the Spokane area, but could be living in Tennessee. This investigation continues. It's kind of sad to say, but it is officially the last day of summer. Fall weather is forecasted now for tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo joining us now. It was a very nice day outside. Definitely felt like maybe fall is around the corner, but it sounds like, Jeremy, this fall weather that you're predicting is a little hiccup before we get back to more summer-like weather.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it, Whitney. Do you want the weather clicker?
Sure.
Oh,
I don't think I'll do nearly as good of a job, but
yeah, well, I don't know about that. Come on outside and give it a try. But for now, it's going to take Whitney a while, so I'll just do it. Clouds coming in from the south, that's associated with the storm heading our way. Right now, temperatures on the mild side, we're in the mid-70s as we kind of pull in some of that cloud cover. But get this, wind basically done for the day. We're watching that wind die down, and then it's going to start to shift. Look, we go from basically north-northeasterly to northwesterly to southwesterly as our storm moves in, and eventually westerly by tomorrow afternoon. It's that big flip of the old pancake as our storm nears. That storm working its way in from the south, now moving into Oregon. We're already seeing a little bit of that moisture move through parts of Washington, but I think a bulk of it arrives later this evening. Some of these showers a bit heavier. It really hits the Lewis and Clark Valley and the central Idaho mountains, and then it kind of moves off to the north. Now, forecast models continue to take this thing farther out to the east, and that means we kind of miss out on a bulk of it here in Spokane, but southeastern Washington and North Idaho get hit pretty hard as this thing moves through. We wake up to a little bit of rain, but by tomorrow afternoon, we go from the 50s to the 70s for some of us as, well, we dry out and see a little sun move back in.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. See, I knew you'd do a great job. Thank you very much. Well, there is a very concerning trend going on online, so parents, listen up. The FDA has a warning about teenagers cooking NyQuil chicken It's on TikTok and it's getting a lot of attention right now. We'll have those details when we come right back. And tomorrow on Up with KREM, we are continuing our Let's Talk series. We're sharing the stories of diverse voices here in our community. Thursday morning, we'll hear from Joshua Loera, who is a farmer and philanthropist right here in Spokane.
I've always been proud of my heritage, my background, and my grandpa's from Mexico, and moved over here, met my grandma, and had 5 sons. My whole family grew up on hard work. Started with my grandpa. Had a mechanic business. He farmed. He would take my uncles and my dad, to the west side of the state every summer, and they would pick berries or strawberries, whatever's going on in that season, and constantly working and providing for his family, but always giving the shirt off his back as well.